Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. From NFL News Now, the Detroit Lions made a significant move on Tuesday, firing offensive coordinator John Morton after a single tumultuous season. A decision that signals the team's determination to right the ship. Following a disappointing 2025 campaign, Morton, 56, had been brought in to replace Ben Johnson, who left Detroit to take the head coaching job with the Chicago Bears. But the transition proved rocky, as the Lions' offense failed to maintain the record-breaking standards set in 2024. The Lions ended the season with 9 wins and 8 losses, missing the playoffs for the first time since 2022, a stark contrast to the 15-win campaign they celebrated just a year prior for a franchise that had built momentum and expectations. Following one of the most dominant defensive seasons in recent memory, the regression was jarring, and the team's leadership clearly felt a change at the coordinator position was necessary. The decision to part ways with Morton comes amid broader questions about consistency, offensive identity, and the ability to maximize the talent on the roster, issues that had been increasingly apparent as the season wore on. Morton's authority within the team began to wane midway through the season, highlighted by a pivotal 30-7-20- for loss at home against the Minnesota Vikings on November 2nd, which dropped the Lions to a 5-3 record. In response, head coach Dan Campbell took over offensive play-calling duty starting in Week 10, a move framed as an effort to give the team the best chance to win. Campbell has not committed to retaining those responsibilities moving forward, but the mid-season shift made it clear that the organization was not satisfied with the offensive direction under Morton. The Lions had posted a 5-3 record, but under Campbell's direct play calling, the team went 4-5, a stretch defined by inconsistency, struggles along the offensive line, and a failure to regain the fluid rhythm that had defined the Lions' offense. During their historic 15-win season in 2024, yardage numbers improved somewhat late in the season, but overall efficiency and cohesion remained elusive, leaving both players and fans frustrated. From a statistical standpoint, the Lions' offensive production still ranked near the top of the league, averaging 28.3 points per game and finishing 5th in total offense. However, these numbers masked underlying issues, as the unit lacked a clear identity and consistency. The offense relied heavily on big plays to compensate for a decline in sustained drives, and third down efficiency, which regressed significantly compared to the prior season, when Detroit had led the NFL in scoring at 33 points per game. Quarterback Jared Goff's performance mirrored the broader struggles, fluctuating throughout the season, with his completion percentage and passer rating dipping after the play-calling change. Meanwhile, the running game, once a cornerstone of Detroit's offensive identity, failed to consistently control the tempo of games, even with Pro Bowl-caliber talent at the skill positions. The disparity between yardage accumulation and scoring efficiency highlighted a disconnect in execution and strategy, a disconnect that ultimately factored heavily into the decision to part ways with Morton. John Morton's departure also underscores a pattern under head coach Dan Campbell, who has now seen two offensive coordinators lose play-calling duties and exit after just one season. Following Anthony Lynn in 2021, Morton, a Michigan native, had previously worked with the Lions in 2022 as a senior offensive assistant, before spending the seasons in Denver as the Broncos' passing game coordinator. While he brought experience and familiarity with the league, Morton was unable to translate that background into the sustained offensive dominance that Detroit required to compete at the highest level. Following the Lions' Week 18 win, Campbell openly criticized his own performance, candidly grading himself a freaking F for the season. A rare and stark acknowledgement from a head coach that emphasized accountability and foreshadowed significant changes within the organization. His comments reflected a desire to restore urgency and competition across all levels, signaling that the Lions are entering a period of self-examination and strategic recalibration. With Morton now out of the picture, the Detroit Lions are turning their focus toward identifying a new offensive leader capable of recapturing the efficiency and cohesion that once made the team one of the most formidable offensive forces in the NFL. The search will likely prioritize candidates who can bring clarity and structure to the play-calling process, improve third down conversions, and maximize the potential of key players like Jared Goff and the team's dynamic skill position talents. Campbell's willingness to take over play-calling duties mid-season demonstrates both a hands-on approach and a recognition that the offense must perform at a high level consistently, not just sporadically. The team's front office, coaching staff, and players now face the challenge of restoring the confidence and rhythm that characterized the Lions' record-setting 2024 season. While also learning from the missteps of 2025, fans will be watching closely to see if the Lions can reestablish an offensive identity that balances explosive plays with methodical, sustained drives capable of winning playoff games. As the offseason progresses, Detroit's management will need to weigh multiple factors, including the type of offensive system best suited to the current roster, the leadership style and experience of potential coordinator candidates, and the ability to maintain continuity while implementing necessary adjustments. The firing of Morton is not just a personnel change. It is a clear signal that the organization expects more from its offensive unit and is unwilling to accept stagnation or regression. The Lions front office has an opportunity to redefine the offensive philosophy, perhaps blending aggressive downfield passing with a more reliable running attack that leverages the strengths of their offensive line and skilled players. Meanwhile, the pressure on Campbell to oversee a successful transition remains significant, as the performance of the offense will be a key determinant of the team's trajectory in 2026. The balance between accountability and empowerment within the coaching staff will be critical, as the Lions seek to foster a culture of excellence while avoiding the pitfalls of miscommunication and inconsistency that plagued them last season. Ultimately, the dismissal of John Morton reflects the Lions' commitment to pursuing sustained success and addressing the shortcomings that emerged in 2025. While the offense still produced impressive numbers on paper, the lack of identity, uneven execution, and struggles in key situations revealed vulnerabilities that cannot be ignored. Detroit's leadership has sent a clear message: mediocrity is not acceptable, and restoring the team's offensive prowess is a top priority. With the search for a new coordinator underway, the Lions have an opportunity to reset the culture, refine the offensive strategy, and reignite the momentum that once made them a dominant force in the NFL. Fans and analysts alike will be eager to see how the Lions navigate this pivotal moment, and whether they can reclaim the efficiency, cohesion, and explosive potential that made the 2024 season so memorable, setting the stage for a return to playoff contention and sustained excellence in the years ahead. The coming months will be critical for the organization, as every decision from coordinator hire to play-calling philosophy to roster adjustments will shape the trajectory of a team determined to transform disappointment into renewed competitiveness and success in 2026. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. The rumor that keeps circling around the league right now is one of those stories that refuses to stay quiet, the kind that grows legs in studio hallways, practice fields, and late-night phone calls between executives. And at the center of it all is the name Jared Thomas Goff and the growing belief that his time with the Detroit Lions might be approaching a dramatic turning point. Nothing has been officially said, nothing has been confirmed, but the tone around the franchise has subtly shifted. And when that happens in the National Football League, it usually means something big is being discussed behind closed doors. The idea of Goff leaving the Lions sounds shocking on the surface, especially considering how deeply intertwined his story has become with the identity of the team. Yet football history has taught us that stability is often an illusion, and quarterbacks, even established ones, are never as untouchable as fans would like to believe. Jared Goff's journey has always carried an unusual rhythm, almost cinematic in the way his career arcs seem to rise, fall, and then reframe themselves in new settings. Selected by the Los Angeles Rams in the first round of the draft in the year 2016, he entered the league with massive expectations, the weight of a franchise on his shoulders, and the label of a future cornerstone quarterback. His early years were filled with scrutiny, flashes of brilliance, moments of doubt, and constant evaluation. When his path eventually led him to Detroit, many viewed it as a reset, a chance to rebuild not only a team but also a reputation. In Detroit, Goff found something different: a locker room that believed, a coaching staff that trusted him, and a fan base desperate for stability under center. That is exactly why the current speculation feels so unsettling. The Lions, for the first time in a long while, appear to be thinking like a team with options rather than a team clinging to survival. When a franchise reaches that stage, every position is reevaluated, including quarterback. Even if the player there has delivered leadership, consistency, and a sense of calm, the whispers suggest that the front office may be quietly exploring future scenarios, weighing long-term flexibility against present reliability, and asking difficult questions about ceiling, timing, and financial structure. None of this means dissatisfaction in a dramatic sense, but it does suggest a strategic curiosity that can eventually lead to bold decisions. One of the strongest undercurrents in this rumor revolves around the idea of value in the modern league. Quarterbacks are not just players, they are assets. And when a quarterback reaches a certain level of perceived stability, his trade value can become extremely attractive. There is a growing belief that the Lions might be tempted to test the market while Goff's stock is solid, especially if they believe they can leverage that value into draft capital or roster flexibility. This does not come from a place of panic, but rather from a calculated mindset that seeks to stay ahead of the curve rather than react to it too late. Inside league circles, there is also quiet talk about philosophical direction. Some teams chase continuity, while others chase upside, and sometimes those philosophies collide internally. Goff is known as a quarterback who thrives on rhythm, structure, and trust in the system. He executes game plans with precision, reads defenses with patience, and commands respect in the huddle. However, in a league increasingly obsessed with improvisation, off-script playmaking, and explosive individual moments, there are executives who constantly wonder if a different style could unlock another level. That curiosity alone can plant the seed for eventual change. From Goff's perspective, the situation is just as complex. Quarterbacks feel shifts long before fans do. They notice changes in communication, subtle language differences in meetings, and the way future plans are discussed. Even without direct conversations, a veteran quarterback can sense when the organization is thinking beyond the present. For Goff, who has already experienced being moved once before, the possibility of another transition likely brings a mix of confidence and caution. Confidence, because he has proven he can adapt and lead in different environments, and caution, because he understands how quickly narratives can turn in this league. Another layer to this rumor is the idea of timing. The Lions are no longer a team content with gradual progress. Expectations have risen, ambition has grown, and patience is no longer infinite. When a franchise feels close to something bigger, it often reassesses whether its current quarterback is the best possible fit for the version of itself it wants to become. That does not automatically mean replacement, but it does open the door to exploration, especially if the front office believes there is an opportunity to reshape the roster in a more aggressive way. Around the league, there are already murmurs of potential destinations, not as concrete talks, but as speculative fits. Teams that believe they are a quarterback away from relevance, teams seeking stability after chaos, or teams wanting a proven leader to guide a young roster could all view Goff as an appealing option. His experience, calm demeanor, and ability to manage complex offenses make him attractive to organizations looking for reliability. Without the growing pains of developing a raw prospect, this type of interest, even if only theoretical at this stage, adds fuel to the rumor and keeps it alive. What makes this situation particularly fascinating is that there is no clear villain, no obvious failure, and no public fallout. This is not a story driven by collapse but by evolution. The Lions have grown, Goff has matured, and now both sides may be approaching a crossroads defined by ambition rather than disappointment. Those are the most unpredictable moments in professional sports, because decisions made in calm confidence can sometimes be more drastic than those made in crisis. As the speculation continues to swirl, fans are left reading between the lines, analyzing every quote, every personnel move, and every subtle organizational shift. The silence itself becomes part of the story, a canvas onto which theories are painted and debated. Whether Jared Goff ultimately stays in Detroit or becomes the centerpiece of another franchise's plans, the mere possibility of his departure speaks volumes about where the Lions see themselves and how seriously they are evaluating their future. In the end, this rumor is less about an exit and more about a league that never stops questioning, never stops calculating, and never stops reminding everyone that in football, even the most stable situations are always one decision away from changing forever. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates only here on NFL News Now.